Right, look, I am going to start this meeting with an acknowledgement of country. So the Division of Learning and Teaching acknowledges the transformative effect of education. Our impact leads to ever improving educational outcomes, inspiring our students to create a world worth living in. We recognise the inclusive nature of First Nations educational practices and the innovative strategies that have ensured the continuing diversity of lands, waters and people for millennia. We also acknowledge that in our practice, we are guided by the elders, past, present, and of country in which our campuses live, Wiradjuri, Biripi, Gundungurra and Ngunnawal. In the spirit of Yindyamarra Wanangana, we recognise the depth of First Nations ways of being, ways of knowing and ways of doing, inspiring our commitment in supporting staff and students in the wisdom of respectfully knowing how to live well in a world worth living in. So if you'd like, I'd be happy for you guys to put into the chat where it is that you're coming to us from today as well. It'd be nice to sort of see the diversity of the people that we have in the room with us today. Thanks, Sarah. All right, well, look, let's get started with our introductions. I'd like to introduce the team that's going to be supporting you along this journey, and I'm going to do that by starting with myself. So I am Kelly Jackson. I'm a lecturer in the academic development team as part of the Teaching Academy. So I've been with CSU specifically for about 13 years now, but I've been in adult education for my entire career. I started at CSU in a student-facing role in schools, and over the years I've been lucky enough to work within 2 faculties. And for the last 8 years at least, I've been in the centralised division of learning and teaching. If you are new to CSU, a lot of the words I just said at that point possibly won't make a lot of sense, but I promise you that once you're finished with the program, you will know exactly who we are and exactly how we can support you in your profession and across your career here at Charles Sturt. I am personally based in Canberra, and it might also come as a bit of a surprise to some of you that we do have a footprint here in Canberra. But if you're also Canberra based or local, please do feel free to come and pop into the office and say hi. Probably the last thing you need to know about me is that I will be leading this program. So yeah, I guess get used to this face and this voice. But I'm always happy to chat. Please feel free to contact me at any times through email or on Teams if you do have any questions or queries. Okay, I am going to pass it over to my wonderful colleagues, and I'm going to start with you, Wendy, if you're able.
I am sorry, my camera's not working for me now that we switched over, so you have to put up with my cute little puppy. Yeah, so I am Wendy. I'm part of the admin team for the Division of Learning and Teaching, and I provide Kel with the admin support for the program. So I've been at the uni for nearly 18 years, so that's showing my age. But anyway, yeah, so I can assist with a lot of just sort of your basic inquiries, and you should all now be enrolled into the Bright Space for this program. So, but Kel will speak of that a little bit later. Okay.
Thanks, Wendy. Amita, we might hand over to you, please.
Sorry, jumping from Zoom, I just was looking in the wrong direction for the unmute button. So hi everyone, my name is Amita Krautlor. I am currently lecturer academic development and I will be supporting Kelly and you during this program. I have been with Charles Sturt University for 13 years. I'm based at Port Macquarie campus. So I can see somebody at Port Macquarie. If you want to come and say hi anytime, please do. I have like Kelly, been in different roles over my time at Charles Sturt, starting as a sessional academic and moving on from there into Division of Student Services and finally into Division of Learning and Teaching. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Okay. And last but not least, Kashila.
Hi, everyone. Hello again. I am Kushila. I am the director of the Charleston Teaching Academy, which means that every day I get to work with educators like yourselves around professional development, reward and recognition, career advancement, fellowships, teaching awards, and everything else in between. So in our role in the academic development team, we have this real privilege, of interacting with our educators and supporting their growth and their development in this space. So the greatest job, really, the best job, we would say, at Charleston. We are biased, but so I lead the team, and of course, you've met some of the team here. And really what we are trying to do is to create that institutional community of practice around learning and teaching, and really showcasing our practices, and making sure that we're building that community, that we're learning from each other in this space, but that we're also supporting you as newcomers into this space to really put your best foot forward to support you, to set you up for success during your time here. So I will talk a little bit more about what the Teaching Academy is shortly. But yeah, we do a number of things, and I hope that you we'll see you not just in foundations, but that we will continue to have some engagement with you throughout your time here.
And in
Thank
fact,
you.
Kushila, you can talk
is it
about the
me?
Teaching Academy
Well,
now and
good.
the Teacher Capability Framework. Thanks
Good.
so much.
Okay, I'm just going to share some slides because that will keep me. There's just a few points I want to share, so just bear with me while I do this. Can you see those slides, everyone? Sorry, okay, let me just do this. I'll close that. Let me do it again. Okay. I know you can see my slides on the side, but that doesn't matter. So the Teaching Academy, what is the Teaching Academy? It is really the university, the institutional home for anyone involved in learning and teaching. This is both academic staff and professional staff who support learning and teaching. So we support your professional development, we support the building of a community of practice, we support people through reward and recognition, so awards, grants, fellowships. We are really here to create that community and to support that knowledge sharing across our disciplines and our faculties. So the core team you can see here listed on the slide, we have a number of people who support the Teaching Academy, and you've met a few of us here today. So we will be kind of the front of house, I suppose, for the Teaching Academy, but the community is you. So you are part of the Teaching Academy community. We have a Teams channel, which is our main place where we communicate and we kind of share information. And I think that's about 400 plus. I couldn't get the stats this afternoon, but I think we might even be close to about 450 people on that Teams channel. So if you haven't yet, please join the Teaching Academy Teams channel, because we often post things around all the things that we offer in this space. So in addition to the Foundations program, the first one listed on this slide, we offer subjects in the graduate certificate, which is phasing out. We offer support for peer review, for probation and promotion. We offer a range of professional development events, including some events and activities that are targeted for the schools and faculties. So you might see us in a faculty or a school board meeting coming along and presenting things. We support the annual learning and teaching conference, and we really kind of bring that together and lead that. So that's called CS edX, if you're wondering what that's about. And this year, actually, CS edX will focus on generative artificial intelligence in learning and teaching. So the focus will be very much around our critical practices in AI and learning and teaching. So that should be fantastic. And we're hoping that will run in November. We do a lot of work in supporting people around applying for teaching awards, fellowships, and grants, for example. So as you settle into this space, you will notice that we will put out calls for people to apply for these things. And there's a current grant open at the moment, the Change One Thing Awards, and there's a number of other teaching awards that we support in session 2. And then we also run grants to support you to undertake scholarly projects aligned to your career needs, but also to kind of areas of interest. So it's a great space. It's a great space to be in and connect with other educators. We absolutely focus on creating that community, because I think for me, learning is not between myself and, you know, the computer screen or the book. Learning happens to me in this community. So as we engage with each other, as we ask questions, as we kind of lean in curiously, as we find out more about how learning and teaching are enacted in different disciplines and in different faculties, that's where that learning comes from. And for that, we need community. So our focus very much is to, in your early days at Charles Sturt, is to really support you to build those connections, which is why we have set up the Foundations program in a particular way, and Kelly will talk to you about that. The thing that I wanted to orient you to or get you thinking about is that at Charles Sturt, we have what we call the Teaching Capabilities Framework. And Kelly, if you wouldn't mind sharing a link as well online, if people want to have a look at, you can bookmark that. I highly recommend you bookmark that, because you will need to come back to that framework constantly, whether it's for probation, whether it's for promotion when you're ready, whether it's for your own professional development, whether it's to guide conversations around annual planning for what you're going to do for the next year. I would encourage you to keep coming back to this framework. So this framework has 12 dimensions to it, and you can see that they span a range of things, right? The capabilities are, there are some that are very much focused on direct learning and teaching, but you can see that the ones highlighted in red extend beyond direct teaching. So what this does is it helps you understand what a holistic profile for an educator looks like, right? So it helps us understand that, especially as we progress through our career stages, that we need to be thinking not just about what we do with our students, in our subjects, in our courses, but we also need to be thinking about that leadership element, that element of building other people up, other staff up to build their capacity in learning and teaching. So I love this framework because it kind of, everybody can see themselves in here. So you can locate yourself in here, but it also helps you understand, what should I be aiming for? You know, as I'm thinking about my career over the next year, couple of years, maybe 5 years. And this framework also, when you go into the online link, you'll see that the capabilities are mapped from level A through to level E. So it gives you a really good sense of, if you are at level B, for example, right now, what is the expectation for level C? It orients you to the horizon, right? Not just what's in front of you, but it also orients you to your own career growth and, you know, the expectations in that space. So like I say, this is a really important framework to refer to as you settle into Charles Sturt. I like the framework because it helps the individual self-reflect. So, you know, where am I at? What are some of the things that I'm doing? What do I need to be aiming for as I think about my career kind of trajectory? It helps with staff and supervisor discussions. So you might look at this, do a bit of a self-assessment, and use that to inform your conversations with your supervisor, for example, as you engage in those annual planning discussions. It helps you set goals. So you might say, look, I'm doing number 1, 2, and 4 really well, but I really like to lean into that leadership space, and I wonder what that might look like for me. So it helps you do that goal setting and planning, because we can't do everything at once. And every year I would say, you know, pick one thing that you wish to focus on and develop and grow in. So this really underpins and is embedded into peer review, and Amita will talk a little bit more around peer review. It informs everything we do in the Foundations program, and we make sure that this informs everything that we do together in a meaningful way. So in the Foundations program, we will support you to think about which 2 capabilities you might wish to focus on as a context for the peer review that you will do with us in this program. And Kelly will talk to you a little bit more around that. So bookmark the page, come back to it often. You don't need to know it all today or tomorrow, but just keep that as a really helpful framework that you can come back to, because it signals very clearly some of the expectations around learning and teaching and the expectations that we have at Charles Sturt. So I think that's enough from me, Kel. Over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay, and I am now, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a overview of the program itself. If my computer will allow me to share. Oh, it's doing that. Yes, yes, great. Thank you. Okay, so look, building on what Kashila sort of said just before, whilst we know that this is a probationary requirement for you, the program itself is designed to support you at various stages of your teaching journey. So whether you're a new to academia and new to CSU, whether you have a previous, education career, but you're new to CSU, the program is designed to support you at all stages of that journey. So let me give you a quick little overview of the program, and then we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive into all the different key features. Okay, so you can expect to dedicate 30 hours of time to the program. And this is basically what you'll be engaging with as part of that 30 hours. So first, we spoke a little bit about those sort of learning coach sessions. So you will have 2 one-on-one sessions with an experienced member of the Teaching Academy, i.e. myself, Kashila, or Amita, to discuss your goals and receive some personalised guidance. There is some online content that is there to support you through this as well. That we would expect that you would spend around about 20 hours engaging in the online modules. The modules themselves are sort of supported by interactive workshops and activities to enhance your understanding and application of the material that you see there. There is a portfolio submission. So you are required to submit a portfolio that demonstrates how you meet the program's learning outcomes. The portfolio is designed to be really flexible and allows you to showcase your understanding in ways that suits your strengths at the appropriate level. So please note, the portfolio is not a formal summative assessment. It is not marked, it is not graded. It serves as a platform for you to showcase your capabilities against the learning outcomes, and to start a really meaningful discussion on how we can support your ongoing development and success. So there is a personalized feedback process that happens there with your learning coach at the end of the program. As part of the portfolio, you will undertake a peer review of teaching practice, and that's going to provide you with some really valuable insights and feedback to help you improve your practice and effectiveness. We do have a wonderful community of peer reviewers with a wealth of experience and knowledge, and you will be paired with one of them. And it's a great opportunity for you to be able to critically reflect on your own practice. Amita will go into a little bit more depth about this process in a minute. So again, as Kashila said, the program itself is underpinned by the Teaching Capability Framework. So this ensures a structured and evidence-based approach to developing your teaching skills. Our program focuses on 6 of the 11, so the program focuses on 6 of the 11 capabilities that align a little bit more with teaching and learning. However, if it's suitable for your role and your development needs, you are more than welcome to focus on other capabilities. And this is the sort of thing that you can discuss with your learning coach to provide you with a much more sort of personalized pathway through the program itself. All right. So that's a really broad overview of what the full program itself entails. And let's unpack that a little bit now, starting with those learning coach conversations. So again, as part of the program, we have embedded several opportunities for you to meet with a very experienced teaching academy staff member, whose job it is to guide you through the program, support you to make decisions about appropriate development needs and career goals. As I said, myself, Kashila, and Amita will be those people. Next week, we'll give you some further information about exactly who you're going to be partnered with, and how you can then start that process. So the idea is that whilst you do have this amazing group of colleagues that we also hope that you interact with as part of the group, you get a more personalized experience alongside that, and that is really tailored to your specific development needs. So what I would encourage you to do prior to having these learning coach conversations, have a look at the teaching capability framework, especially at the 6 capabilities that the program focuses on. Start to reflect on which ones are most appropriate for you at your level. Maybe see if there are others that are more appropriate, and consider what your development goals are. And again, those development goals could be just for the next 6 or 12 months, but they could be looking forward a little bit more for that 3 to 5 years as well. Again, whatever's appropriate for you. As Wendy said, access to the content is available now. The online content is available now. We've enrolled you in that. I will show you a little bit later how you can access that as well. As I said, you can expect to devote around about 20 hours of time on that content. The content has been designed in a way to support you to successfully complete the portfolio of evidence. So each module is crafted to build your skills in an area that meets the learning outcomes of the program itself. Throughout the program too, you'll find practical examples, interactive activities, and comprehensive resources that directly align with the module learning outcomes. So our goal is to provide you with a clear understanding of the material and then the confidence to apply it effectively. And I would encourage you to engage fully in the content, participate in the discussions and the activities, share your thoughts and ideas with your colleagues, and take on maybe some of the conversations that are happening in that space as well, and really take advantage of all the support that's being provided to you through this. So the content itself contains sort of both foundational level information that is really relevant to everyone, as well as some extension content for those who may come with a little bit of teaching experience already and are looking to develop that a little bit further. So it's been designed as a little bit of a choose your own adventure. If you're new to academia and CSU, you can just engage in the foundation level information, and that is more than enough to, again, support you to be able to meet the portfolio. And there might be some interesting content there that you can kind of flag for 6 or 12 months down the track when you have a little bit more capacity to take on some of that information. That's okay. You don't get unenrolled from this program. You'll have access to that information for quite some time to come at this point. And yeah, so again, for those of you that work maybe more at that course or faculty level, there is information in that space as well, which contains, some more maybe contemporary issues in higher ed at the moment, again, like Gen AI and program level assessment. Okay, so let's have a quick look at those learning outcomes now. So these are the module learning outcomes. By completing this module, you'll gain the knowledge and skills needed to broaden your understanding of inclusive practices to foster equity, diversity, and inclusion within your learning environment. Use a variety of strategies to actively engage students in the learning process. Enhance your comprehension of assessment principles to create meaningful, authentic assessments that fosters learner growth. And to reflect on your personal professional practice to identify strengths and areas for improvement to enhance your own effectiveness. So to support you to be able to evidence that you meet these learning outcomes, the topics in the program itself cover off on the Charles Sturt student. So you can spend some time in this topic exploring the CSU ecosystem and getting to know the environment that you work in, develop your understanding of exactly who the CSU student is, and then more specifically your particular cohort of students. The second topic is developing your professional practice. So this is going to provide you with effective teaching strategies and student-centered and inclusive approaches to teaching. And the final topic is on developing your assessment practice. So this builds on the knowledge of who your students are and how you can most effectively teach them, and focuses on designing, implementing, and refining assessment so that it is authentic, engaging, and effective. So again, the program is designed to provide you with lots of different learning activities, ways to engage with your colleagues, interacting videos. This will be supplemented with some workshops that we put on for everyone. But beyond that, the Teaching Academy itself runs multiple events throughout the year. And so we will ensure that as part of this group that you are oriented to those events and that you know which ones might be really relevant for which parts of the program that you're looking at. And yeah, so we will be keeping in constant touch with you throughout this program. So whilst it is a little bit of a personalized learning journey, we will be keeping in constant touch with you. But I also encourage you, I see, we've all seen that there's lots of people here from Wagga. There's a few people from Port, people from Bathurst. So if you want, maybe take some note of that. I encourage you to even potentially meet up for on-campus coffee catch-ups if you want, or even if you've got others from your school or faculty, that's a really nice way too of kind of creating some of those communities of learning as well. But yeah, we're committed to supporting you through this. We really hope you enjoy the program. We haven't finished talking yet, but at this point I am going to open it up to questions if that wasn't too much of a word salad. Anyone? I'm going to take your silence that everything I said made complete sense. You're all so far on board. Excellent. I've gotten some thumbs up. Good. All right. In that case, I think I'm going to hand it back to you, Koshila, to run over the portfolio of evidence information.
Thank you. Thank you, Kel. I will share my screen again. All righty. So probably saying, tell me what I need to do. What do I need to do to kind of meet the requirements for completion? And that's a fair enough question. We've talked about some of the opportunities that you have to make sense, meaning the meaning making process, by having the conversations with your learning coach. But what I'll talk to you about is more around your portfolio. So your portfolio really is the thing that you create to demonstrate your achievement of those 4 program learning outcomes. So the portfolio is an opportunity for you to really showcase your professional practice, or an opportunity for you to undertake a bit of an inquiry into a specific topic in learning and teaching that is important to you. And I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. Because what we're really, really wanting you to do is to think about some of the things that you're either already doing, or that your supervisor has asked you to do, or that you want to work towards, and to use that for your portfolio. So we don't want you to be doing something in your everyday job, in your teaching role, and then to do another thing for this portfolio. It has to be the same thing. So the learning coach conversation that we will have with our coach, with you, will be designed to draw out those things from you and say, like, what is your supervisor? What are some of the goals that you've set with your supervisor? Can you focus on one of those goals or those areas within your portfolio? What might that look like? So we will absolutely support you to understand how you bring your portfolio work and your everyday teaching and learning work together, right? So they're not 2 different things. There are 3 components to the portfolio, and we've sort of put some word counts, but again, the way that the artifacts that you create as part of your portfolio don't have to be always written artifacts. We've got some people who are completing the Foundations program from last session who are doing some narrated PowerPoints. I think there's people who've developed a resource. It can take any form that you wish, right? But we put word counts here just to give you a sense of the size of the portfolio. So roughly 5,000 words, give or take. The first item, and this is where you will spend probably most of your words and your time, is that reflection on your professional practice or your inquiry. So that's where you get to tell us a little bit about what you've done what you've found, what you've learned, and what that means for your practice going forward if you're doing an inquiry option. And our observation of the program in session 1, which was the first time we ran it, was that probably 90% of people chose the inquiry option because it gives them an opportunity to deep dive into something that's front of mind for them. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about what that can look like. Then part 2 is a peer review of practice. And so at that point, you will be paired with the peer reviewer, again, another member for this team who is not your learning coach. So for example, Melandri, you might be paired with Kelly as your learning coach, but when it comes to the peer review component, you would either have myself or Amita being paired with you. That way, we make sure that in this 30 hours that you have with that, at least you get to have 2 really great conversations with members of the Teaching Academy, right? Because we're going to be your partners in learning and teaching, that we want to have that partnership with you through your time at Charles Sturt. So we're keen to make sure that you have that opportunity to connect with at least 2 of us in a meaningful way. So the peer review, and Amita is going to talk a lot more about that, is where you will select 2 capabilities from that teaching capabilities framework, and you work with your peer reviewer to kind of showcase your practice, but also use that as an opportunity for learning, right? Because this is all about learning and professional growth. And then the final item is kind of your, so what next? So you've done all this stuff. What's next for you? So we want you to really think about your action plan. How do you, in the next 12 months, plan to kind of build upon what you've done? What is your plan for advancing your professional learning and development at Charles Sturt? This probably will end up being your shortest piece. It is probably a bit smaller even than the 1,500 words. I think you'll spend more time on portfolio item 1, around 5 hours on item 2. And then I think this will be quite an easy piece to put together because you're kind of saying, okay, I've done this stuff. I've learned this stuff. I've found this stuff out. What does it mean for me going forward? And each component of the portfolio needs to align to at least 2 program learning outcomes. So that's important for you when you're thinking about how you construct your portfolio, that you are really thinking about how it speaks to the program learning outcomes. So this is the slide I really want to spend some time on. So I think, it goes without saying your portfolio is yours, not mine, not Kelly's, not Amita's, it's yours. So it has to be responsive to what you want to focus on and how you want to present the outcomes of your learning. So you're in the driver's seat, right? You get to choose what you focus on and how you want to present it. So my top tip and non-negotiable is make sure it is intentionally aligned to something that you're working on currently. And that might be something that you've agreed on with your supervisor, or it might be something that you're working towards. So for example, I will share an example of someone that I had in as part of my learning coach conversations who was stepping into the subject coordination role for the first time. And what they did was they used the Foundations program to really take a kind of inquiry-based approach to understanding what does effective, high quality subject coordination look like. And so they used the 30 hours to construct do a range of activities. They shadowed experienced subject coordinator. They spoke to some of their colleagues who they knew were really very experienced. So they spoke to some colleagues. They looked at the online content in this program, focusing especially on the module B, which is around teaching practices. And they went away and read a couple of things from their kind of discipline and space. So they did things that were directly aligned towards their particular need, but also they did things that it was an opportunity for them to not just do things, but also to reflect on things. So this is what we mean by aligning it intentionally to something that you're working on or working towards. which is really fulfilling for you, and it's really fulfilling for us because we feel then we're adding value rather than creating more noise in the system, more hurdles for you, especially in your early days at Charleston, to create more things that you have to do. So this has to be really aligned to what you're already doing in your practice. It's not going to be, you can't see it as an additional piece that you need to do. So it's that opportunity for us to say, hey, reflective practice is really important. Actually, that's the cornerstone of learning. So the Foundations program is a great opportunity for you to engage intentionally in reflective practice, because as you know, we're so busy doing the doing that we often don't get time to stop and reflect on that, on the learnings, what have I learned and what will I do as a consequence. As Kelly has mentioned, none of this is summative. It's all about learning and feedback. So all the way through this process, this is why we have learning coach conversations. This is why we have a portfolio type approach, because we want the focus to be on the feedback and the communication that we have, as opposed to needing to mark something. It's an opportunity for us to give some feedback to not just validate what you're doing, but also to signal other things that you can be looking at or thinking about in your next 12 months at Charleston. So we do ask that you submit your portfolio via Brightspace, and then what happens is you come to that second learning coach conversation. By that time, your coach would have looked at the portfolio that you've submitted, and it's that opportunity to have a conversation about it. So I hope that those two slides kind of set the scene for the portfolio. But remember, this is the first of many conversations you will have about your portfolio. So when you are coming to meet your learning coach for the first time, and Kelly will send you some instructions about the things that you need to have thought about in preparation for that conversation, that's where you're going to really spend about half an hour, 45 minutes with your learning coach talking about what am I going to do for my portfolio. All right, and that's all from me. So I think handing over to Amita, is that right?
Perfect. Thanks,
Thank you,
Amita. If you
Amita.
can go through the peer review a little bit more in depth, that'd be fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Kushila. And lovely to see everyone. I'm just going to add a bit more detail to what Kushila already introduced in her last slide about the portfolio items. So as you just saw, the second portfolio item focuses on the peer review of your teaching practice. This component is been specifically included in the program to support reflective and scholarly teaching practice, and also support a culture of continuous improvement. That's exactly what Kushila was referring to. So as you move forward past this point as well, we just expect you to continue on that journey of reflecting and, improving, and not always looking at an external stimulus for improvement. So the peer review process is aligned to the teaching capabilities framework that was also addressed by Kushila before, and it mirrors the approach that is followed for the peer review process for academic promotion, which hopefully down the line each one of you will be undertaking as well. And I think earlier to what Kushila said as well, it's when you look at the capabilities framework, it's not just about looking at the level you are, but looking at that next level up as well. So that horizon to work towards as a continuous planning journey as well, that is what we would recommend. The three key principles that underpin the peer review process are basically reflecting on one's own, educational practice to understand it better, and then further refine it on an ongoing basis. The second principle is also identifying the appropriate area of practice to showcase. And again, that will come out of your initial conversation with your learning coach as well. And then also to identify the evidence that you would require to substantiate that claim. And the third principle is also, of course, collegial and supportive interactions with peers during this journey as well. So again, Kaushila mentioned that you will be matched with either one of us as your peer reviewer, or a peer reviewer from outside the program, which can be generally an educational designer within the Division of Learning and Teaching, considering their wealth of experience in this space as well. We will assist you, whoever the peer reviewer is, in understanding your teaching and learning context and helping you identify an appropriate area to showcase and work out what would be suitable evidence for you to attach with that as well with your portfolio. And at the end of that journey, you will get constructive feedback from your peer reviewer in, of course, refining what you have done, but also supporting you with the further areas for growth as you move along in that journey. So to complete this portfolio, we have provided a PDF template. It's on the Brightspace side. I'm just going to share my screen and show that to you so you'll see it. Okay. So can you see my screen? Yeah, you seeing the template? Okay, good. You see it's a very user-friendly template and easy to complete. In 5 steps, the whole peer review process has been explained here, which we have just talked about now. When you start, just complete your personal details in this because you're the reviewee here with your name, school division, your current academic level, the purpose of the review. In your case, it will be summative for probation purposes. The name of your supervisor and the name of your peer reviewer, because you will be, informed who your reviewer is. After your discussion, once you've identified which teaching capabilities you're going to showcase as part of this portfolio, you'll see there is a drop-down menu here that lists all the 12 capabilities. So it's not like you have to go and type in. So again, it's made very user-friendly. So say one or whichever one that you think is your strong point to showcase. Look at the teaching capabilities framework at your level of what is expected, and write a maximum 500-word reflection, which is not very onerous, and will guide you on how to do that as well. And then we'll expect you to provide some evidence. So one of the things that we recommend is that you create a folder on your OneDrive and then start collecting pieces of evidence in one place. Name your evidence here and provide us a link to that. So again, it will be straightforward. You don't have to keep attaching things to this PDF document as well. Once you've finally submitted it, your reviewer will assess, your reflection and the evidence that you provided, and then make comments on that and give you some more areas, to work towards in the future as well. And the same thing for a second teaching capability as well. Once you finish writing the two reflections and provide evidence, you submit it to us and we'll complete the overall process, and then it will be taken into account as a completion of as a component of the requirements for completing your probation as well. So I think that was it from me. Thanks everyone.
Perfect.
And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Amita. All right, give me one more minute because we're finally there, and then I can open it up for some questions. So I will just quickly share my final little slide. Here we go. Final slide, next steps. Okay, so once we leave this, what are the next steps from here? So we are going to, next week, we'll send you an email introducing you to your learning coach and giving you a little bit of information around how that process works. Please follow up with your learning coach. We'd love it if you could actually respond to that email and book in a time to meet with them at a time that works for you both. We are going to put that onus on you guys to actually initiate that conversation. Whilst that's all taking place, take a little bit of time, review the teaching capabilities framework, reflect on those relevant capabilities at your level. And again, we've put a link up to that. A link to the teaching capability framework will also be sent in the email we send out. It's also in the program itself, so you shouldn't have to scramble to find all this information. And then also start to think about the development goals that you want to set for yourself. So consider what your professional goals are, whether that be for, this year, for the next 12 months, or even maybe for up to 3 years, something like that, make sure that they align with your work responsibilities. Many of you may have already done that 6-week goal setting with your supervisor. So that is a great place to start. If you have those things set in stone, as this is what you've agreed with your supervisor is going to be the basis of your work for the next, 12 months, whatever that is, that's a perfect place to come to that learning coach conversation and say, this is what I need, this is what I need to work on. And here's where I feel super confident. And here's a place where maybe I think I need a little bit of support. And then you can work on that way. But look, that is probably it as far as giving you an overview of the program. I don't want to completely overwhelm you, knowing that, again, this is not the end of the many conversations you'll be having with someone in the team. But does anyone have any initial thoughts, comments, questions, burning anything while we're sitting here?
Hi, Izaz here. Not sure what's the process. Should I ask the question or?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go for it. Thanks, Azaz.
Very quickly, what kind of evidence are you looking for? Because when it's reflective teaching practices, there might be a lot of futuristic ideas, such as introduction of AI-based assessment or introduction of generative AI in the assessment, which is currently in the planning process. So in that case, if I have introduced one piece of assessment, it would be hard for me to collect all the evidences right now.
So sorry, are
The
you
subject
talking
is
about for your
ongoing.
peer review?
No, as a portfolio, as part of the portfolio, what kind of evidences are you looking for?
Well, that would really depend on what you were going to do for your portfolio. So again, if it's an inquiry piece, there's not really an expectation that you will have implemented something and evaluated something. So we wouldn't necessarily be expecting any evidence if you're doing an inquiry piece. If you're looking at a showcase piece of something that you've currently done, we might be thinking, oh, there'd probably be some evidence required as part of that. But these are the sorts of things that you will have as part of your learning coach conversation. So once you've sort of identified the sorts of things that you want to do for your portfolio, that's the perfect place to say, all right, what's the evidence that I need to support that for my portfolio? So, and that will really depend on individually for everyone on what it is you're choosing to focus on.
Okay.
Kel,
Thank you.
can I just,
yeah.
Sorry, Azaz, I don't want to talk over you, but Kel, could you maybe just to help us understand, can you comment on like maybe some of the evidence that you've seen in portfolios in the peer review component of the portfolio from last session, just to give people a sense of like what it is?
Sure. And again, will completely depend on which capability you choose. But as an example, the very first capability talks about providing students with an inclusive teaching experience. At level, the sort of evidence they're looking for there is, it talks about learning activities and experiences. So we would probably be looking at your Brightspace site as an example, because that's where those students are often having a lot of those experiences. So we'd be looking at what are the inclusive teaching approaches that you embed into your Brightspace site as an example. So we would want to see, and it could be as simple as snapshots of I engage in multiple ways of showcasing evidence. So a snapshot of, well, here's some text, here's an interactive video, here's some gamification I might choose. You might talk about, as part of that inclusivity, maybe cultural safety. There's the cultural safety aspect of it. So ensuring that showing that you use research that includes a global perspective or points of view from marginalized communities, people of color, First Nations people, those sorts of things. So it can differ. One of the teaching capabilities is around providing authentic assessment. For something like that, something as simple as your subject outline makes a really good piece of evidence when you want to showcase what your assessment looks like, as an example, because it has the task, the marking criteria, all of that information is in your subject outline. So it can't, the evidence doesn't have to be really complex evidence. It's the stuff that you're already doing anyway. Does that sort of help a little bit? And I think, did Matt, you have your hand up,
Yeah,
did you?
absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, look,
great.
I
Thanks,
did, and
Azaz.
thanks everyone for the presentation. It's very exciting. I've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
My teams did crash halfway through, so I went to my phone, then back to this. You might have covered it,
Sure.
but do we have any set dates or deadlines to complete the portfolio and the program? Just
Yeah,
because of the busyness, I know all the academics in here are teaching and everything else.
Yeah. Yep, really good question. And the answer is not necessarily from us. So as part of the program, we have recommended about a 6-month, and there's a bit of a loose schedule of how you could fit this into 6 months. I said to people as part of the learning coaches, I'm like, go and stick a 2 hours of time in every week for the next 15 weeks and focus on it and get it done. But your probation is actually set by your supervisor and your school and things like that. We're here to support that, but obviously, so there's not a hard and fast timeline from our end. But yeah, so whatever your supervisor requires of you, but obviously the quicker you can get it done, the quicker we stop annoying you, the quicker you can move on to bigger and better things. But yeah, I mean, I've recommended, again, it's supposed to be a bit of a 30-hour program. And again, focus on the stuff that's online that's going to support you to complete the portfolio. If you have a lot of experience and you only need 10 hours of looking at the online content in order to get your work done, that's fine. We're not policing any of that. We're not policing what you engage in and how you engage. It's there for you guys to use in a way that's going to support you to get this done realistically. Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Mamun, how are you?
Hi, this is Mamun here.
Hey.
So I think most of the question already covered. I just wanted to know, like, as you said, that 20 hours is for one line content.
Yep.
And the rest 10 hours should be one-to-one or somehow covered. But
yep.
How you will assess the successfully completed this program?
Through your submission of the portfolio of evidence.
And after the review comments and okay.
Yeah. And then so again, you'll have that initial learning coach conversation. You'll then be, it's a bit of a, you go off and kind of work through. And as I said, that'll be a bit supported by us and keeping in touch with you. You'll have a conversation with a peer reviewer as well to support you very specifically through that task. It's a little bit up to you to kind of get task 1 and 3 done as part of that. And when you're ready to submit it. Your learning coach will have a look at it, and then you'll have a final conversation that sort of says, look, here are the areas that that are fantastic for you. And I can see you are interested in Gen AI. Did you know we have a community of practice? Did you know there's professional development events running here? You can, and so it's then about just supporting how you move forward from this program in a really positive way as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
And there's a certificate at the end. So you'll all get one of those. Is it all vaguely making sense? Yep. Oh, more questions. Yep.
Kelly, there's a question in the chat from Mohammed. Do you want to come off mute, or do you want me to read your question, Mohammed?
Yeah, I can ask you. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's very good. The question is, which I'm new, I just started. How do I access Brightspace as a student?
No.
Do we have different way, because I can't see it on my current Brightspace?
Okay, so sorry, I was going to go over that, and I did forget. So if you go in, I've currently put it myself in student mode, but if you go into your Brightspace, sorry, let me actually go back. Maybe I'll have to get out of student mode. Let me see. You watch this not work now too, hey? So it is under organizations. So as a staff member, you'll have this organizations here. So under the organizations there is the Teaching Academy.
I found it. That's great.
Oh, great. I'll keep going just for everyone else's benefit, because I was going to do this. And then under the Teaching Academy, you should have the Foundations of Learning and Teaching tile here now. So that if you go in there, that's where the information is. So thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
That I had forgotten to do that. Okay, I don't know if everyone kind of followed along, but that makes sense for everyone. Great. And I think, yeah, ta-da. Okay, well, I will, oh, no, we're 2 minutes overdue. I'm not giving you any time back, but again, this isn't the last conversation we can have. If you get an hour out of this and you think, oh, I was going to ask, oh, Mohammed, yep, again, thanks.
Sorry, another question.
No problem.
I publish a lot in the engineering education area.
Mhm.
If we publish something or we produce something here, it's okay to publish that later in a conference or something, or it's not allowed?
So I might hand that one over to Kashila. You might be better placed to.
Mohammed, we absolutely want you to do use this as a basis for scholarly work, right? Like every person, academic staff member at Charleston has a scholarly workload allocation. If you're an education or teaching focused academic, you'll have more, double the scholarly workload allocation. So we don't just want you to be a scholarly educator, which is what we're doing in this program, but we want you to use everything you're doing in FoLT, outside of FoLT, to contribute to the scholarship of learning and teaching. So the short answer is yes. Please think about how anything that you're doing here can be disseminated with your peers, whether it be at the subject level, whether it be at your course level, whether it be at your school level, whether it be outside within your discipline, whether it be at a conference, because a key feature of scholarship is the idea that you share it with your peers and you open it up for review and you get feedback. So yes, please do think about that as well.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming along and participating. As I said, if you walk away from this in an hour and you think, oh, wish I'd asked that, no problem, shoot us a message on Teams or something like that. And as I said, we will be in touch soon with some information about your learning coach, but don't feel like you need to have done that before you can start wading through the online stuff if you want. And as I said, you know, have a look at the teaching capabilities, start thinking about your goals for the year. And I'm really looking forward to working a little bit closer with you guys over the next 6, 12 months, and then beyond that, 10 to 15 years of your career at CSU.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to meet you.
See you, everyone. Bye.